Whoa, what a weekend. The Ronda. Well, welcome to Life in the Peloton, presented by MAAP. I'm your host, Mitch Docker. We have been riding the classics with the Kiwi, Laurence Pithie, the last 2 weeks. And aside from looking for Laurence in the bunch, one thing that stands out to me is the best kit, the MAAP Jayco Allure jersey. Yep, they really nailed it. MAAP, entering the World Tour with Green Edge Cycling, had a huge task at hand. First time for MAAP in the World Tour, and the task of reinventing a team with so much character and reputation. And well, like I said, they absolutely nailed it. I could be slightly biased though, having ridden on Green Edge myself and now working with MAAP. But come on, you can't tell me this kit doesn't rock. Well, MAAP have just re-released, after popular demand, the replica capsule for both men's Jayco Allure and the women's Live Allure Jayco kits. Go across and grab yourself one. These are wild. Yes, wow. Flanders, holy hell, what a race. There's really not much more to say. If you randomly haven't seen it, go back and watch it. Watch the whole thing if you can. At least watch the extended highlights, because it was an absolute cracker of an edition. We have been lucky to be able to access and to be chatting with the Kiwi superstar Laurence Pithie throughout the whole classics, the leader at Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. And if you've been listening over the last few weeks, you know things haven't been exactly clicking and how they would like things to have been for Red Bull. But Flanders was different. Pithie right up there at the pointy end in a very tough edition, and showing why he's regarded as one of the big boys when it comes to these races. Well, one thing I also noticed from the top three at Flanders, Tadej Pogačar, Mats Pedersen and Mathieu van der Poel, were all using Wahoo bike computers to navigate themselves around Flanders on Sunday. Coincidence? I think not. It's the much-loved and chosen head unit of the Peloton, for a good reason. Well, now, hot off the press, guys, the brand new Wahoo Element Roam and Bolt bike computers coming out on the 6th of May. The Wahoo head units are coming out at 3.0 with the Element Roam, a larger, more powerful, robust, adventure-ready device. The new Roam has a larger anti-glare display and now touchscreen and new dynamic ride intelligence to make all your rides just a little more effortless. And then, if you're looking for something a little smaller, ready for racing or tackling KOMs or whatever you want to do, the Element Bolt is Wahoo's lightweight machine, coming in new and improved also. As I mentioned, they're just around the corner on the 6th of May, so get across to wahoofitness.com to find out more about these new releases and see all the other great Wahoo products. You can also subscribe to be the first to know when the Element and Bolt will be available. That's all over at wahoofitness.com. Righto, guys, let's get into it. Let's hear about what it was like out there on Sunday at Flanders, and then a little preview to the big one this Sunday, Paris-Roubaix.
Hey mate,
Laurence, how are ya?
I'm going well, thanks. How are you?
I'm feeling better.
You sound better.
Got through Flanders all right, actually, on this end. How about you, mate? Big day.
It was a massive day out, actually. I'm feeling pretty knackered now, actually.
Oh, mate, I can imagine. You were on form. You had a big day right up there at the pointy end. Mate, tell me about the day, everything about it, physically, what it felt like with those crowds, the weather. Let's get into it.
I mean, already it starts off as a pretty epic morning just to start the day. I mean, we rolled out of bed super early. We were out of the hotel by 7:45, so it's already a pretty early start compared to the other classics. And then you get down to Bruges, where it started this year, and the crowd there was already incredible. Just so many people. I remember it last year, and yeah, it really lives up to the expectations of a monument. The Belgian people really get behind it.
Yeah. Bit different of San Remo, isn't it?
Yeah, it is big. It's a big difference. I mean, at San Remo, it's pretty cool. You do the presentation the night before, but yeah, for Flanders, they just do it different. The presentation's really well run. The massive, I mean, maybe it's 800 meters ride to the
Yeah.
presentation, and I mean, you probably remember it. There's just people all lined across the fence, all around the buses, and then you get out onto the stage, and it's just thousands of people. It's yeah, it's a real atmosphere.
Tell me about that moment? Like you sort of the build up of the classics. You know, it's all building to that point. You're doing these other races, E3 again, Wavelgem, then you had Dwars the Flanders, and you know, like they're still big. There's still quite a lot of people around, but then suddenly it's all building to this point, and you're like, oh, okay, here we are. It's on today.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a step up. You get to Flanders, every other race means nothing when you get to Flanders. It's all behind you now, and Flanders is a new day, right? It's just like it can really make your classic season. If you've not had a good run, you can really turn it around on the day of the Ronde. So, I mean, we were a little bit like that. I mean, the vibes on the team were super good. We're all super motivated to have a ripper day, and you know the scene's set from when you step off the bus. Really, it's yeah, it's pretty surreal actually. I still can't wrap my head around it. It's like just rolling out the door, like out of neutral. Any other race, okay, yeah, there's spectators around the finishing circuit or on the decisive climbs, but man, Flanders, it's just like people lined all down the roads, every town, thousands of people. It's just noise. Like it's incredible.
It's funny, like I do remember one thing, there's that other climbs that normally don't have people on it. For instance, like, you know, the new Kreuzberg or going up over the Hutong. These are big roads that, yeah, they're still climbs, but they're not the climbs that we know. And they get transformed on Flanders Day because there's like still a few thousand people there. So suddenly you're riding through a tunnel where normally these are big open roads. And you're like, this doesn't feel like the normal climb. Did you notice that?
Yeah, you do notice it. It's noise. It's just on these climbs where there's usually no one. Okay, there's a few people, the raw fans who live a few K away, come down to that climb. But man, like it's incredible actually. It's hard to take in when you're racing though, because everything's. I mean, already you have to be focused from when that neutral flag drops all the way to the end. So it's hard to soak it in when you're in the race.
Well, let's talk about the race. It was a pretty solid fight for the breakaway. I noticed that your team wasn't involved really much at all. They were just sort of riding together up the front. Run me through the start of the race, the first sort of 60, 80K before that breakaway went away.
Yeah, we're trying to stay well placed, but never in the wind. It was quite a windy day, and there was a little bit of stress for crosswinds and open sections. I remember 2 years ago, that was quite a talking point before the race. 2 years ago, Van der Poel was behind in a split, and it was from that start in Bruges, so it alternates every year. And you know, there was a little bit of stress for that. I was trying to stay towards the front, but never doing too much. And so were my teammates. That was kind of our goal. We knew Alpecin and UAE would control the breakaway, keep it on a pretty tight leash. So usually that early breakaway has no chance. So we weren't too keen to get into it.
And then once the team started controlling the race sort of took a different shape. There was some teams actually going on the front foot and, you know, especially Visma sending riders up the road, and then we saw Ineos. Tell me about that middle section, which was just before I guess leading into the middle section, tell us the run into the first time Quaremont, because that was nuts.
Yeah, it was nuts. You're always fighting for position in these races, but that first time Quaremont, any other race, you wouldn't be stressing too much for it. Nothing's probably going to happen. It's still 170K to go from there. So usually it's all right, but you just never know these days. The race could start opening up there already. You see a few teams lining up on front. And I mean, I stopped for a pee. I saw a couple of the favourites. I saw Wout and Matthews stop maybe 10K before Quaremont the first time. So I took that as my opportunity as well. And I only came back to the Peloton because the pace was so fast. Maybe, yeah, a few K before the left-hander. There's that big roundabout. So I kind of just tried to blast it up the outside last minute and managed to hop that island going into the roundabout and be in pretty good posse into first time Quaremont. And that was kind of probably the most relaxing part of the race for first time Quaremont. I wasn't too stressed. Yeah.
I was going to say, could you absorb the crowd up the Quaremont the first time at least?
Yeah, the first time I did, I really tried to soak it in because I knew that would be my last opportunity. I was really sandbagging that climb as well. I probably started in the first quarter of the bunch and finished almost almost dead last, I'd say, towards the back, just trying to keep the powder dry a little bit.
You weren't worried about, anything from that moment? You could tell the bunch was pretty relaxed.
Yeah, I could see Alpecin and UAE were blocking it up in front, so I kind of just drifted back. And that was the plan for me, really going into it. I was a bit stiff after the crash towards Tour of Vlaanderen, which, yeah, I knew I had to be much smarter and in Flanders and really try to save my bullets for when it really mattered. So every climb, I was just sort of drifting back through the peloton. If you'd seen me in the race and seen me going backwards every climb, you'd probably think, "Oh shit, he's on his last legs already, and we're not even in the pointy end yet." But that was sort of just a tactic on my behalf.
It's actually one thing I did notice is that I didn't see you a lot. Every so often I could spy you sort of near the front around, top 10, maybe just around the top 15 mark, but you'd never used any big bullets. So that's actually reflecting exactly what you said. You came to the front when you needed to. Tell me about the whole overall team plan. You alluded to a little bit there what you were supposed to do, but Heino was talking about, that middle section was so important after the first time Quaremont that the climbs came thick and fast. You were straight into the Wolvenberg and then on the Holloweg and, blah, 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 straight into the climbs. The Molenberg obviously was really important, but nothing happened after. What was the team's plan coming into this race? How were you guys going to turn things around from a bit of a topsy-turvy start for the team in the Classics?
Plan was to have myself, Mick, and Tim in position for Eichenberg already. So that was after Quaremont the first time. And yeah, if one of us could go in an anticipation move, that would be good. But in my head, I didn't really want to be that guy. I sort of wanted to play from behind a little bit. I learned quite a lot from Flanders last year, actually. Last year, I was always trying to follow the big guns, always in that move, and then it would always come back. So it was really, there were guys in the top 10 when I looked at the results sheet last year that I don't think I saw all day. It's like, man, how did they get back there? And it's really just because myself, I was trying to follow Van der Poel and do these stupid moves off the front, which would just keep coming back. And then you can really save a lot of bullets if you pace these climbs and just stay in the wheels and come back each time. You're not doing these massive bombs, I guess, to be there. You're just sort of playing on the back end. And I think these climbs, it's so important to have a little bit over the top because the pace always goes on. So if you still have the legs to push on over the top, you can kind of close the gaps if you need to. So yeah, I was sort of playing that card, whereas we had some unfortunate luck again with Tim getting a puncture. So he was sort of out of the race and then managed to come back into it, but he was pretty spent after that. It's such a big effort to come back in these races if you have a problem. So then, coming into Quaremont the second time, I put myself in the top 5-10 wheels and was there with Mick and basically watched Podgorka come flying around on the grass. And that was sort of the race. It wasn't really my intention to try and follow there, to be honest. I know it's a little bit defeatist, but those guys are in a different league. Van der Poel was a bit too far back going into it, and he came past me like I was standing still.
Wow.
Like it wasn't even funny. So I was just kind of sucking wheels up Quaremont the second time. Yeah, there was a group of favourites that went off the front, and we kind of caught them just going into Paderberg, but then obviously they did their effort again and they went up the road. And then it was, yeah, the big group behind with those favourites up the road. And basically I never saw the front of the race again after that. We were kind of just racing behind, and yeah, I just kept with that mentality of watching the main guys in our back group, sort of Michael Matthews, these kinds of riders. And I knew I'd sort of try to be fighting for a top 10 really once those guys were up the road, and became pretty evident to me when we hit Koppenberg and then went towards Stationsberg, Tyenberg. It became pretty clear that no one in my group had the legs to really make the acceleration to ride away.
Yeah,
there were always guys trying. So I was always just trying to keep calm and sort of just stay in my rhythm, never go too much into the red, and really just ride it from behind and be smart.
It's interesting what you say there, because it puts it in perspective of what the big guys do, those ones you were saying, because they are making those accelerations that you said you followed last year, and they make them continuously, and then they go on and get the podium results. What about when some of the bigger names like the Filippo Garners, the Stefan Kungs, these guys were moving in that anticipation move? Were you thinking, wow, these guys are even going for it. Maybe this is something I need to do, or you really just stick to your guns? You went, nah, I can't get messed up with that.
I could see them going, and I was so far back, I couldn't even react if I wanted to. I sort of knew my plan going into it and really stuck to it. I think in the future, maybe one of those anticipation moves will be the way to go for me, just to try and get a little advantage going into Quaremont the second time. But for me on Sunday, it was more I wanted to play from behind, not be seen, and try and get the best result, not burn my legs up too early for what could be a 30-second lead going into Quaremont the second time, especially with UAE and Alpecin. They're so dialed for their big leaders that I didn't think that group would get too much. And I think maybe they got a minute maximum. So it's a lot of investment for not too much gain.
Well, yeah, it put UAE on the back foot, but ultimately their team had a few guys that probably could have run a podium themselves in the race, and they were doing the domestique role. So when you've got riders of that caliber chasing and doing that job, it's unbelievable. Let's fast forward to the end, because you guys came in a group sprinting for, I think, 8th position, with Ghana coming in first in your group. Tell me about coming to the end, because there's only a couple spots up for the top 10. You ended up finishing 4th in the sprint in your group, finishing 11th. From the outside, I'd be wrapped with 11th. I don't know how you feel. It was a crazy race, riders going everywhere. Tell me about the finish and the result, how you felt and the team.
The top 10 would have been amazing, and I would have been stoked with that. So 11th is just like, you're almost there, but just not quite. But to be honest, I'm pretty happy with that result. I went into it not feeling amazing, a bit stiff after my crash, and to come away 11th was pretty good. I stuck to my guns and knew the way I wanted to race and executed it quite well. I think we still had Mick in the bunch, and he said we go for the sprint for me because I was still feeling good. So that was super nice to have his backing. And to be honest with you, I almost screwed it up. I was maybe 5th wheel going through 1K to go. We could see Jorgensen up the road, and I was thinking, okay, I'm pretty good here. But it was a headwind finish, so there was just guys coming from behind doing that big effort, and all of a sudden I was swamped. I was maybe 20 wheels deep on the right hand barrier, thinking, "Oh, mate, what have I done here?" I had a thought to myself for a split second. It's like I could take a massive risk here, and sort of I was thinking about the track days, how in the elimination race you're a bit boxed in, too far back, you might get eliminated. What I used to do, I used to backpedal and just try and do a massive effort to come around.
Right.
So basically, I just sort of flicked my elbows, looked behind me, made sure I wasn't going to brake check anyone, and put on the brakes, and and rode round the wind side, round the long way on the left. And luckily, Maharic stepped out as I was coming round. He was sort of on the left-hand side of the bunch as well, and he stepped out going long, maybe from 600 out. So I sort of got into his slipstream. He dragged me off a little bit, and then I just opened my spread up. I was still coming from quite far back and had a bit of speed and had the legs, but yeah, I couldn't quite get around Ballerini, unfortunately, for that top 10, but I managed to make something out of it, considering the position I was in with 800 to go.
That's awesome. Great story. What did the team say when you got across the line? Heino, and the rest of the boys, were they happy with that result, satisfied, or there was a bit of happiness but they wanted more? I don't know. Give me the feeling.
I mean, you always want more in these races, especially just outside the top 10, but I think overall we were pretty happy. I mean, I was proud of how I rode, and I was happy, and Heino was also happy. We rode really well as a team. We backed each other up well in that second group. I mean, when you put it into perspective, those top boys, they're just in another league at the moment. So you have to be realistic going into it and looking back on it. And, it's a journey. We're all new together in the squad, and we're all learning how each other race and where our strengths and weaknesses are. And it was good to get a little bit of momentum before Roubaix. I think going into it, we were aiming for the top 10, and we're just outside of that. But I think it's good momentum heading towards the big one this Sunday.
Well, you've heard me chatting about Join over the last few months. Join is an AI training app that I've been using to prepare for the Granite Classic, the gravel event that was just held on the weekend. Although I never got to the start line on Saturday as my skills were needed elsewhere on course. I was making pickleback whiskey shots, you heard it, for the riders at the 5K to go point. But I did in fact ride up to Beach Earth over a few days, and my fitness has been coming along, and the first thing I've noticed while using the Join training app is that my FTP has shown a real improvement. And it's actually been so easy using the Join cycling program. It's really adaptable because I've been missing a couple of sessions here and there, but Join has been able to adapt things to suit my random training schedule that I run. You guys listening to Life in the Peloton can try Join for 1 month free if you head across to join.cc/LITP to give it a test fly. It's quite simple. First of all, you create an account, and then you set up your profile to personalize your training experience and integrate your fitness accounts like Wahoo or whatever you use. And then it's time to choose your training plan, your goal, and then Join will program your training plans that are tailored around your goals and your fitness levels to start seeing improvements. And that's it, really. All you do is your workouts, you monitor your performance, and watch the progress. Give it a shot. There's nothing to lose. 1 month free trial when you sign up through join.cc/LITP. That's join.cc/LITP. Also, guys, look out for the Join Challenge coming out on Strava this week, starting on the 11th of April, 10 hours of activity in 10 days. You can earn bonus points and invite people in your network to tag along after you join yourself. It'll be a bit of fun, and at the same time, you're going to lock in to some solid training. Well, guys, let's get back and start talking Roubaix. Well, nice little segue there, mate. It is Wednesday morning here, so Tuesday night for you. Tell me about the recovery coming back. You actually went home, and Roubaix is not too far away. I found that quite strange that you went back home. It was just for mental refreshment. What's the idea there?
Yeah, I did it last year as well. I mean, it's always a long period in Belgium, so if you can take a couple of days at home to really relax and recover and in your own environment, it's quite nice. It can be long days in the hotel in Belgium, so if you can get into a little bit of routine. I mean, it's only for 2 days. I fly back to Belgium tomorrow, but I rode yesterday for an hour, and that was after a terrible travel. In hindsight, maybe it would have been better to stay because I got through the door 3 a.m. Monday morning after a 3-hour delay thanks to EasyJet. So I'm pretty shattered now. I didn't ride today just to really try and recover and recoup my body, and really it is a nice refresh. Can be here at home in my own environment, and really just mentally switch off for the day and really recover, which you can't really do that when you're, always around in that same hotel environment.
Did the rest of the guys do that, or did some boys stay up there from your team?
The guys that aren't racing Scouter Prize tomorrow did that. So myself, Tim and Mick, we all went home. Geordie was already home after Dwars of Vlaanderen. So yeah, I mean, if I was racing Scouter Prize, it makes no sense to come back. You definitely stay on, but because I'm not doing that race, it means I can do that. I can come back.
Well, now we're actually on the eve of the real racing, Roubaix, mate. It's all been in preparation for Roubaix. How are you feeling? Like, are you excited as I am towards Roubaix, or is it for you, it's all about Flanders?
Nah, Roubaix is the one for me, eh?
Yeah. Good man.
I'm super excited. I think that's the race I enjoyed watching the most when I started getting into cycling. It's just, I mean, it's iconic, and those cobblestones, they're something else in Roubaix. It's not like these Belgian ones. It's a completely different race, and I really feel like I have a much better chance going into that race than I would for a Flanders at this point in my career.
What's your goals for the race?
I mean, I'd love to be on the podium. Obviously, it's a dream to be there, but obviously a lot has to go your way. It's such an unpredictable race, and anything can happen, as you know. I mean, a podium would be the dream, a dream to win the classic season.
What's different about Roubaix? People ask that question quite a lot. And, they're both cobbles. Is it just because they're flat? The race itself has a different feel. I'd be interested to understand what you think. What's the difference between, Flanders or the Vlaanderen races and Roubaix?
I mean, that's probably a question I should be asking you, mate. I've only done Roubaix once. I'm a novice and experienced rider when it comes to Roubaix.
That's why I want to know from you, because I've got my own opinion, and I want to hear maybe you've got a different idea about things.
I mean, for me, Roubaix is just, yeah, it's different to these Belgian races. It's flat. It's pretty much flat, and these cobbles, it's just another level above from anything you get in Belgium. The gaps between them, the corners in the sections. Like in Belgium, you're not really cornering on cobbles at all, whereas in Roubaix, you're always going through corners on cobbles. You've got to be doing sprints, accelerations, always fighting for position. There's never too long between the sectors, so you always have to be super onto it and super alert. Already from that first cobble section all the way to the end, you're pretty locked in, eh? And you're just trying to avoid the carnage.
What do you think about? I agree with you 100%, and I think for me, there's also that angle of the point to point. There's something about that, the Paris to Roubaix. You don't go back. It feels like if you get the headwind, you got headwind all day, whereas Flanders, you're changing direction so much. That plays a big part for me anyway.
Yeah, it is. It's a different one. I mean, last year when I did it was tailwind, so it was so rapid from the start. Already super stressful, just getting out the gate, and then there was a huge crash. Got stuck behind that, coming back, and then all of a sudden you're right into the cobbles. And I mean, that first sector is you're going to war basically. I mean, you're just taking risks. It's so hard to describe to someone who's not been in it, but it's just like, we're really putting it on the line and always fighting. I mean, no one, you don't have any friends in Roubaix. You're just fighting for every position, trying to be in the best possible condition, getting to the cobbles, but then also in the cobbles, you can't really put a foot wrong, otherwise you'll be out of the race pretty quick.
What's your favourite sector of Roubaix?
I'm not too sure. I'm not sure I've got a favourite. I'm not sure. What's your favourite sector?
I always liked Wallers, before Arenberg. 2 corners in it.
Oh yeah.
And you knew you were on the you're about to get ready for Arenberg, and it was also the sector after Arenberg was also nice too, because it was done, and you're in that back half of the race. So yeah, I guess that's a hard question. It could have been favoured in a different way. Can you give us any insight to what the team's tactics would be, or the way you might try and approach the race?
To be honest with you, I'm not too sure. That's going to be Heino's game. He's going to be the one coming up with the plan. I think for me personally, I'm just going to try and be hidden until after Arenberg and really try and save the legs, because that's really when the race starts for me. I think you can kind of take stock after Arenberg, see who's around. As long as you get through there in the first bunch, you're in pretty good stead for the rest of the race, I think.
Are you feeling pressure coming in as maybe one of the favourites after last season?
No, I don't think there's really any eyes on me, to be honest. I think with the guys who are on form and how my Classics campaign has gone this far, I think I will be able to fly under the radar a bit.
What's the weather looking like? Would you be shooting yourself if it's a wet Roubaix?
Mate, if it's a wet Roubaix, I will be absolutely shitting bricks. Mate, you've got the Van Dykes on my team who are doing little rain dances every night, hoping that it's bad weather, and then there's me who's just praying to God that it's dry. I want it to be dust. Dust everywhere.
Well, it's been so hot up there, and something we didn't talk about in Flanders is the good weather. What was that like?
It was super nice, actually. Really refreshing to have sun in Belgium, heading out and in short bibs and in a jersey on some days. It was super nice. Speaking about the weather for Roubaix, it's dry. It's dry all week, but there's rain predicted for Sunday.
Oh no!
Still 19 degrees, but there's rain on the radar, so it could be 50-50.
I can only pray for you, mate. You do not want to do a wet one. That's.
Have you done a wet one?
Yeah, I did only one in 2021.
Okay, you did that one.
Yeah, that was not nice. But yeah, you always want to experience it yourself, so I'm sure you will one day. Are you going to do any recon?
Yeah, we'll do Recon on Thursday. So I fly in tomorrow night and then we'll do Recon Thursday.
Okay.
For me, for me, if I never do a wet Roubaix in my career, I'll be a very happy man. I remember last year we did the Recon when it was wet, and man, it's just the cobbles are so unforgiving that it's just so unpredictable. All it takes is not even a little mistake from you, a little mistake from someone in front of you, or the brake's not working, someone coming into you from behind. Anything can happen, and it's a beautiful thing. It's so good for the fans to see a wet Roubaix, but if I'm in it myself, I'd rather it be dry.
Oh yeah, there's just the unpredictability. You just could be riding along with your hands on the tops, obviously. And if someone crashes, you can't stop. You're just like,
no.
What? Like, that's just the most, I'm thinking about it now. It's just the most freaky feeling ever. And especially that first sector, I remember coming into the first sector in 2021 I just kept backing off the gas. I'm like, I physically cannot sprint into this. It feels wrong, because you just knew there was going to be a crash, and you're just like, oh, I'm so scared.
Yeah. If it's wet, there's going to be crashes, and all it takes is for you to make a 1 centimeter mistake when you're on the crown of those cobbles. If you go off that top part, hit a bit of wet grass or anything, then you're just game over.
Well, the Roubaix is the close of the Classics. Is that the close of the Classics for you? Are you having a bit of a spell after Roubaix, or are you going on to Amstel and maybe more?
No, that'll be the end of the Classics for me. I'll head up to Andorra and take a bit of time off, and then just start prepping for the other races in the season.
You're looking forward to getting to the end? I often used to feel at this point I was happy to get to Roubaix, but I was also happy to see the close of the Classics.
Yeah, for sure. You put in so much training and effort. It does take a mental and physical load. And Roubaix, it's such a nice way to finish coming into that velodrome, especially if you've had a good day out, and there's really no better way to to cap off your classics campaign. So hopefully it can be a nice end for me on Sunday.
Mate, it's been so good catching up with you over the whole classics, on the road with Laurence through the classics, mate, taking us through. Have you enjoyed sort of sharing your thoughts along the way?
Yeah, it's been super nice. I mean, it's cool to get on the phone with you and chat about what's been going on. I'm still so new to the classics, and I've learned so much this year that I can really take into the future. So, I mean, the biggest one awaits me. So, I mean, hopefully we can have a chat after Roubaix, and
Mm.
hopefully it's good news to talk about.
Well, let's leave it open. That'd be
I feel
great.
like,
I like that.
yeah, I feel like I've said that up before every classic this year, and we've not really had much to talk about. Good news wise.
I think the thing is for me, it was like it'd be great if you, of course, if you won Flanders, one great for the pod, but great for you in general. But for me, it's just about coming on the road and understanding what that 2 weeks or almost 3 weeks is like, because it can be like this. You can be fighting every race, and a lot of people may not have seen what you were up to, and that's what I loved, is hearing the stories and the ins and outs and the crashes and what happens behind the scenes. And it's not all about the podium riders. Every single rider in that race is giving everything in the one-day race. It's so different to a Grand Tour or a stage race, is that when you rock up on the line, the 180 riders there are going to absolutely empty the tank today. And that creates such a different atmosphere out there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, how many times did you do Roubaix?
11.
11.
Yep.
Shit.
So I missed it a couple of times
Man,
in my career. Yeah.
what's your advice for me?
Well, I think you already know. Don't get drawn into the dirt on the sides. As good as that feels sometimes, especially for a rider like yourself, you don't want to be taken out of the race by a puncher.
Yes.
And I agree with you. You can afford to ride pretty until you get to Wallers, the sector before Arenberg. Don't be too far back on Wallers, because there's always a crash on there, and that can split. And then next thing you know, you're on the back foot. So those first few sectors, you can start in a good position and sort of coast back through. And yeah, look, there's a couple of new sectors this year which they've added in before Arenberg, which will 30Ks before Arenberg, which I'm sure will be something extra. And
Oh, really?
once you get across Arenberg, mate, as you know, it's look around, see who's there, and then think about the next plan of attack. It's exactly right. There's 3 parts to this race: to the first sector, from the first sector to Arenberg, and then the battle with the rest after Arenberg. Wherever you are, even if you're a group out the back, you're sort of like, all right, boys, let's battle in, So there's going to be a good story. I can't wait to hear afterwards.
Yeah, no, thanks for that advice. I mean, I remember Wales last year, it was a bit of crosswind there actually. I
Yeah.
was third wheel through the whole sector, so I was sitting pretty for that. And it's funny you say about the dirt, because I'm a bit of a dirt hunter, to be honest. I remember last year I was always darting off to the side trying to save as much energy as possible. But man, with the spectators last year, I remember after I crashed, I was playing with my life there. I was just off the back of that chasing group, and I was just in the dirt, and the guys on the side of the road with the beers in their hands were really playing chicken with me. I was in the dirt racing as hard as I could, head down, and they were waiting till the last minute to get out of my way. So it's a bit of adrenaline when you're going through the dirt.
It's like I've been there before, like definitely not at the pointy end, but down the back, just trying to get home, and you go for it because you're like it's smoother, and you punch her and you think, or you hit a spectator and you think, why did I take the risk? So it draws you in. As soon as you get tired and you need to hold that wheel, you just look for the dirt. But if you can stay up on the crown as long as possible, do it.
Yeah, I'll keep it in mind. I'll definitely be watching the old Heyman backstage pass this week at some stage. Given the Roubaix mood, that's always my pre-Roubaix thing, to watch that, get a little bit hyped up.
Oh, brilliant, mate. Well, did you have any, lastly, before I let you go, do you have any tweaks that you're going to do to your bike? Or, I think it's pretty much done these days. It's all down to do you know about the tyres you're riding? Is it going to be big bags and, well, it will be big bags, but how
Yeah.
big do they get?
We'll be on 32s, I believe.
Right.
So pretty big, tubeless, really just trying to make those cobbles as comfortable as possible and smooth.
Do you know what pressure you're going to ride?
I'm not too sure yet. That's something I'll test out on Thursday. Now I'm with Specialized. I was pretty dialed on Conti, knew what I was riding, but with Specialized tires, it'll be different. So, I mean, to be honest, that's also something about if it's a wet race, it really changes that side of things completely as well, because you go so much slower when it's wet. And I think when you go slower on these cobbles, you really feel the impact of them a lot more. I remember last year we were just going so quick that you sort of fly across them, apart from Arenberg. But the other ones, it really takes away the impact when you're going that fast. So it'll be interesting to see what pressures I do choose to go for the race, if it's wet or dry.
Something else I just remembered then is that the run into Arenberg this year, you're taking a little left-hand turn down a side street and then going along parallel to the main drag and then turning back onto the main drag. So you're doing sort of like just a little parallel road to slow you all down. You're going to turn back onto the road before Arenberg. You're going to pop out right before the train rails and then do a left-hand turn and then hit Arenberg after doing a turn. I guess you don't really know any different because you did the chicane last year for the first time. Hitting Arenberg slow, I guess you don't know any different. Do you know about that little extra bit?
Yeah, a clip came out today, actually. They showed sort of going through that mining facility, those mining roads a little bit to really slow us down. I mean, I've never done it going 70k an hour into it like you have, which I'm quite thankful for, because I mean, I think probably everyone's seen that clip of you. It's not the nicest. So if we go into it slower, I think it's much nicer and a lot safer, to be honest. It makes for a harder sector, but I do think that it's safer. And with the chicane last year, I mean, it was a mad dash into the chicane, but it really did make the cobble section safer.
Well, mate, I could just keep talking about Roubaix all day, but look, I'll let you go. It's late for you, and let's maybe try and catch up quickly after Roubaix, I reckon, if you're happy to.
That's good. Too easy, mate.
Thanks, Laurence. Good luck.
Have a good one. Cheers, mate. Bye.
It's here. Roubaix. The night before Christmas. It's Christmas Eve. Yes. I'm happy. You can hear it. Yeah. I'm smiling. Yeah, you know it. Roubaix. I love it. Oh, I love talking with Laurence over the last few weeks, getting that insight to the classics, the griminess of it, the ups and downs, and he's in good shape. So happy to see him up there at Flanders, and I know he's going to have an awesome ride on Sunday. I hope you guys have enjoyed tagging along with us as we chat with Laurence. A big thanks goes out to all our partners in this episode, specifically MAAP. Then, of course, we've got Wahoo and, of course, Join. Big thanks to those guys. Red Bricks Media, who put this episode together, and the Life in the Peloton team behind the scenes. A big thanks goes out to Laurence for all the time he put aside for us. The Red Bull team as well, chatting with Heino, of course, Shane Archibald along the way too. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. I really did enjoy this, and let's get into it. Roubaix is here. Of course, next week we'll have an episode with the communique wrapping up Roubaix and giving us a little preview to the Ardennes Classics. Guys, until then, take it easy. Cheers. That iconic music in this episode was composed by none other than the legend, Pete Shelley. Cheers, mate.